We're talking about in the danger of indigenous pagan rituals.
Yes.
Remember, indigenous Indians are polytheists. What does that mean? They worship many gods.
We could say many demons.
Yeah. Many gods, lowercase g, because St. Paul's called lowercase g the God of this world. So Psalm 95 says the gods, lowercase g, of the Gentiles are demons. And there are many exorcists have warned us of the rise in demonic activity following the indigenous pagan rituals. With exorcists now starting to see harmful results in children, perhaps parents will begin to demand more from their schools. There's a picture here which is very problematic. It has Pope Francis. He's receiving a ritual feather from an indigenous Indian elder in Quebec City, Canada. July 27, 2002, on the day he participated in a smudging ceremony. A smudging ceremony has nothing to do with the Catholic Church, with sacramental grace, with the actual grace. It has nothing to do with the Catholic religion. As I look at the picture, the Pope does look a little bit frightened because there's an indigenous Indian elder who's handing him something, looks like a red purse or something. But this indigenous Indian elder, he's dressed with his
he has a headdress with feathers, but they look like
snakes. It looks like Medusa, the snakehead.
Snakes.
Exactly.
Small snakes coming from the center of the head.
And so you could see the Pope is looking at him. The Pope looks a little afraid at this guy with
for sure concerned for his soul, I'm sure. I think the Holy Spirit's telling him, no, this is not right.
The Holy Spirit's telling him, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah. Let me define what smudging is, and then we'll get into the article. A smudging ceremony is a ritual of burning plant resins and herbs in a shell or a clay bowl, while intentions and prayers are called forth. For centuries, Native American and indigenous cultures have practiced smudging rituals to clear away negative energy. That means demons. To invite in peace and harmony for individuals or environments. The smoke from the herbs and the plant resins are fanned using a feather or a hand and directed like a spiritual cleansing bath surrounding the person or the space. The purpose of this cleansing ritual is to clear away anxieties, sadness, impurities, dark thoughts, or unwanted energies that may have attached themselves to a space or an individual. So notice they're trying to get rid of demons by invoking other demons. And you know how that happens? It happens because if you have inferior demons that are harassing you and you do these pagan rituals, you'll get stronger demons that'll come and drive off these inferior demons. So you're going to feel good for a time, then you're going to feel worse because now you've invoked more powerful demons to get rid of these inferior demons. So smudging is most often performed before or as part of a ceremony to clear the environment and the people from certain thoughts or feelings that will not serve the highest good in themselves. For this reason, it is important to set a clear intention while smudging. As the smudging ceremony is practiced, the smoke rises and so do the prayers to Mother Earth. There it is. It's a Mother Earth and Father Sky pagan invocation. There it is. So it tells us who they're praying to, Mother Earth and Father Sky, to the sun and the moon, to the plants, the animals, and the water, the burning of the sacred plants, sage, cedar, sweetgrass, and palo santo, to name a few, support the connection to the sacred realms between the earth and spirit. Through this connect to spirit, connecting to what spirit? Demons. The smoke bath lifts negative feelings and energy and creates an opening for prayers and intentions to be heard, therefore bringing positive intention into practice. So yeah, this is a ceremony to Mother Earth. They call Mother Earth Gaia. That's what the Indians call Mother Earth.
Yeah. Well, what is Family Life International? They said, although elements of paganism have been creeping into various parishes and dioceses for some time, the blatant idolatry on display during the 2019 Amazon Amazon Synod really opened the floodgates. Since that time, Faithful Catholics in the West have been inundated in indigenous emblems, prayers, and rituals in what appears to be an attempt to change the church's very identity.
But Cardinal Burke has something to say about that.
Yeah, Cardinal Burke said diabolical forces entered St. Peter's Basilica through Pachamama idolatry. And who was a Pachamama idolatry? It's an idol. An idol was introduced into St. Peter's Basilica. The figure of demonic force, said the Cardinal. So you can look at that on LifeSite News, where Cardinal Burke talks about it in more in depth. So in Australia, that trend is quite evident, and the focus on Aboriginal culture, which is being promoted politically and in the corporate world, is being mirrored by the church. When too much attention is given to another form of spirituality, there is always a risk that the preeminence of the Catholic Church will be overlooked. However, that is not the extent of the problems facing an institution that is starting to view pagan ceremonies as interchangeable with its own rituals.
That's a real problem here.
It is.
What happened ever since the Vatican document came out, which is called on ecumenism, that document has opened up a can of worms in the Catholic Church. Because just like the article said, now we're seeing that a lot of these pagan religions, there's a risk of them being given the preeminence of the Catholic faith. Mm-hmm. We saw that. I mean, you could look at pictures, and it's painful to look at. Pope John Paul II engaging in the Assisi Conference, where he's praying with a lot of pagan religions inside of a Catholic church, and they're all praying next to each other to their own gods.
Yeah.
Like they're all equals, like they're all praying like, oh, okay, well, it's all goes to the same place. No, it doesn't. No. And you also have, I remember it was the Dalai Lama that took a statue of the Buddha and put it on top of a tabernacle. You can look at that picture. It's on the internet. It's very painful to see that. Pope John Paul II saw that and allowed that to happen. You also see Pope Benedict and Pope John Paul II with indigenous Indian headdresses in some of these pagan ceremonies. Just, I guess, trying to build bridges. That's not the way you build bridges.
No.
That's by the way, that's why we have the sacrament of confession, because I have no doubt that they confess those sins. That's a violation of the first commandment. Yeah. And now. But
they have now lingering effects because they submitted to that. Yeah, they personally probably went to confession for that. What about all the people that had saw that, okay, the Pope does it, then it's okay. Yeah. It's okay for syncretism, right?
Well, what happened there is now they've opened the door to demons to the church.
Yeah.
Because they're the popes. They have the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Actions like that. It's like, for example, let me give you a micro example. You get a Ouija board, you go home and you start praying the Ouija board in your room. Yeah. Guess what? Everybody in the house is going to be affected. Say, well, not me. It's my sister praying the Ouija board in her bedroom when her door's closed. These evil spirits can go through walls and under the door. They're going to affect everybody in the house.
Everybody, especially if they're living in mortal sin.
Okay, so this is the same thing as a Ouija board on a macro level.
Yeah.
When a pope starts flirting with these syncretism, pagan practices, and participating in them, or at least allowing them to occur in his presence, this is opening the doors to demons to come into the Catholic Church at large.
Right.
This is the danger of this.
Right.
We continue with the article. It says, FLI, Family Life International, sought counsel from that group of experts who saw, Many, including Family Life International, have expressed concern about the spiritual consequences of participation in indigenous rituals. That's what I just said. Given that a non-Christian ritual, by its very nature, invokes spirits other than that of the one true God. That is, it invokes demons. It seems implausible that there would be no evidence of spiritual bondage or oppression among its participants. FLI sought counsel from that group of experts who see the devastation of spiritual warfare on a daily basis, church-appointed exorcists. What they revealed confirmed our worst suspicions.
Yeah, our exorcist, Father John Rizzo, who was a former exorcist of the Diocese of Parramatta, has had years of experience in delivering unfortunate souls from demonic attack. In the 2 weeks before he spoke to FLI, Father Rizzo had been contacted by 3 families whose children are at 2 different schools. Each family wanted his assistance because a child was exhibiting disturbing symptoms that the parents believe are linked to the indigenous smoking ceremonies. Father Rizzo told Family Life International that he has seen, quote, unpleasant consequences, end quote, from children attending smoking ceremonies. Children have become irritable after being involved in such situations. This is what he's discovered after the parents have come to him. Students at some schools are forced to walk through the smoke against their will. So there's kids that know that this is wrong and they're forced.
And the teachers are making them do it.
How would they like it if we brought Catholicism and forced it on them?
And baptized the pagan kids.
Yeah, would they like it? Oh, no, they're hue and cry.
Sprinkle holy water on everybody.
That's right, yeah. So let me continue. Their well-informed Catholic consciences make them feel uncomfortable. See, some of those kids that are well-formed, they know that it's wrong. The priest said that he has been seeing a certain moodiness and a type of fear that is hard to understand. Thankfully, he has found that minor exorcisms, which can be prayed by any priest, are proving effective in liberating the children. He says, I particularly use the exorcism prayers from the traditional rite of baptism, he said. I recite them in Latin first and translate afterwards into English.
The mother of one of the children, Jane, not her real name, opened up to Family Life International about her family's experience. She said this, my son was attending a Catholic school where smoking ceremonies
there you go.
were being performed quite frequently. He had also been exposed to regular smoking ceremonies at the public school that he previously attended. Looks like time for homeschooling.
Yep.
As time went by, my son's health declined and he began to suffer from anxiety. For 3 years, Jane took her son to visit various medical professionals who were unable to diagnose his problem. All they could offer was medication.
There you go. Medication. Medicate them.
Dope them up. To help him with the symptoms, but there was no cure. Things then escalated to the point where, out of fear, the boy wasn't able to sleep. My son is naturally quiet, and he was at first unable to explain the reason for his inability to sleep. He eventually told us, we'll hold it right there.
Yeah, we'll hold it right now.
A mom
it's a holy pause here.
A mom is sharing her story about her son went to a Catholic school in the public school.
Being diabolically afflicted. Let's call it what it is. Yes.
Forced to participate in smoking ceremonies. We'll be right back.
Yeah.